It is another week of fantasy football talk, plus the Toronto Blue Jays get best case scenario out of their young prospect. Couch Potato Diary Live starts right now. Didn't realize I had headphones on. Welcome, everyone, to Couch Potato Diary. Happy Tuesday. My name is Peter Klein. A little bit later than thought was going to go to today, but I would love to come up with a great excuse or anything like that, but your boy ran out of Vyvanse, and so everything is all over the place for me today. But we're here talking some sports on a Tuesday. We already got fantasy football questions in the chat from Swavey JP. We got Deeds in the Twitch chat saying hello. Hello, Deeds. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Want to tell you we are presented by Sea of Dead. Head over to seaofdead403.ca for some great Calgary swag. We got the Hanging in the Dome, Chillin' with Jerome shirts available now, helping out Kidsport. So go buy some. And also, we are presented today, or fueled today, by Swift Energy. Head over to swiftenergy.gg. Use the code PKPrimetime for 25% off. So, I have a bunch of stuff I want to get to on the show today, but I am a man of the people, and someone is asking a fantasy football question in the chat, so fantasy football is the direction that we are going to start with. Let's talk some football here on a Tuesday. All right, this one in the YouTube chat, again from Swavey JP. Hope I'm saying that right. Swavey? I'm not going to try. All right, so trade Josh Allen, Devonta Smith, and Braylon Allen for Bijan and I am assuming Amon-Ra St. Brown. Love, Caleb, Goff, and Penix are available. Boy, that is a very interesting one. Because, Josh Allen, bit of a rough week, fantasy football-wise, this last week. Devonta Smith with a couple of good plays, and Braylon Allen is kind of looking slow, isn't he? So there's a bit of a concern there. And Bijan looked awesome on Sunday for Atlanta, on Sunday night there, against the Vikings. And if I am correct in assuming that AJB, unless I'm missing someone's nickname, or other initials, is Amon-Ra St. Brown, then I think you have to do that trade, absolutely. With those options that are available, Love is just a no-brainer start for me now going forward. I think that he has kind of worked his way into that territory. So I think that one makes a whole lot of sense when you are looking at a fantasy football discussion. Yes, Josh Allen is going to have some very big days, but Bijan might be the best player, he might be this year's Saquon, right? So I would not be wanting to turn that down in any way, so I would probably make that move and end up making that trade. So yes, I would absolutely do that one there. Also, just while we're talking fantasy, want to shout out the Vampire League that we do with followers on Twitch. Close week this week for a lot, but the Vampire strikes first. It took me a while to get my first win last year. This year, we're in week 2, and all of a sudden, you just get a little notification on your thing that Nick Chubb was just traded for Saquon Barkley. So that's where the Vampire is at right now. Big dub in that this week. But every matchup, save for one, was really close. And Crash Andrews just dog-walking Audie. But aside from that, every matchup was really, really close. Oh, A.J. Brown. Oh, duh. That's so dumb that I missed that. Still, yes. Still very much yes. I know A.J. Brown has had some down weeks, but yes, still very much yes. Sorry, that was really dumb to miss that on my part. My bad on that one. So, once again, the trade, Josh Allen, Devonta Smith, and Braylon Allen for Bijan and A.J. Brown. Yes, I still do that. I mean, Bijan is the secret sauce in that whole thing. I know Devonta Smith has had better weeks than A.J. Brown, but AJ is still a beast of a receiver, and that offense at some point is going to have to throw more, and I think he's going to have some good weeks. So that is, yes, 100%. Sorry about that, JP, getting that one wrong. So yes, that was very dumb on my part, but thanks for thanks for clarifying and getting us that one. So yeah, that's that's still a trade I would do, absolutely. Still, and then try to see if you can flip AJ Brown for Amon-Ra St. Brown, make it a win. I'm kidding, that's a great trade there, nonetheless. But yeah, toxic, saw that, that one was close. Autumn Wind and Wife, very, very close. That came down to 0.18. So a lot of frustration in this house from Team Wife so far. So hopefully she's able to turn that around. But yeah, keep the fantasy football questions coming. Like I said, I kind of thought we would start elsewhere, but we may as well just keep rolling with it. We're heading into week number 3 in the fantasy football season. We are understanding a little bit more about what these guys are, so maybe now's the time to find some gold out there in the fantasy football waiver wire. So let's give it a go with this week's fantasy football waiver wire picks. All right, fantasy football week number 3 is here. Already feels like the season's going too fast. It needs to slow down. But admittedly, like there isn't that, oh my god, run to the waiver wire to get this guy out there just yet. But let's run through all the positions. We will start at quarterback, and I think the play here is Geno Smith. He is 32% owned, which means we're rocking, 68% available. Try to go around 35%. He falls into that category. Everyone here does this week, actually. I think Washington's defense can be exploited a little bit. The Packers definitely showed that. Now the Raiders are not to the Packers. They're certainly closer to the Giants than they are the Packers. But I think we saw on Monday that there is at least a functioning offense there in Las Vegas. And they can actually do a couple of things. I thought Geno looked really good at times. So I like Geno Smith as a pickup if you are needy this week, and there are probably some needy teams out there. So go out and make that pickup at quarterback. At wide receiver, there's 3 that I'm looking at. Wan'Dale Robinson is up first, 23% owned, 18 targets in the last 2 weeks. It's a tough match against Kansas City this week for sure, but he is still getting a ton of volume in a Brian Daboll offense. And I know we had concerns about that last week. It looks like we maybe bounced back a little bit there this week, but I still think that volume is going to be there. And he is obviously a receiver that Russell Wilson trusts in this offense. Next is DeAndre Hopkins at 9% owned, only 2 targets. But he is a red zone threat. He has scored in both of his games, and he has been able to, I think, return a lot of value and just kind of make the most of his opportunities. So I still think he is worth a bit of a shot right now at receiver. And then Kevontae Turpin at 4% owned. Just he had 6 touches last week. They're working on getting him the ball. I believe it was 4 touches the week before. He is a bit of a explosive speed dynamic that not a whole lot of this roster has. So I know Pickens had the big overtime, but I think Turpin is someone that can very much provide a bit of a spark for that offense and is someone who has that big play potential that you want in fantasy football. Next, at running back, Tyler Algier, still just 30% owned, 26 carries in the first 2 weeks. He is a strong runner. He's part of a pretty good offense, and it's a great matchup against Carolina this week. So I think Tyler Algier is absolutely someone that shouldn't qualify for this list of owned in less than 35% of leagues. And Justice Hill, 3% owned. If you're desperate, it's 6 touches last week. And again, this game against Detroit should be a wild one, which is why I'm liking Hopkins and I'm liking Justice Hill in this. And then at tight end, this one we're chasing a little bit, but Jatavion Sanders, 2% owned with Carolina, 9 targets last week. Again, feels like we're chasing, but tight end's pretty soft right now. I think he can provide a lot, or at least a bit of a spark for you in fantasy. And then for streaming defenses, we got a couple. Seattle at 26% owned. They're facing New Orleans this week. It is a legit good defense against a legit pretty bad defense, or offense, in New Orleans. So I think this is a really good opportunity for Seattle to really put a stamp on what they can do on the defensive side of the football. And then Atlanta, they're 2% owned going up against Carolina. I think Atlanta's got a pretty strong defense, and Carolina struggled when that game was still in doubt. So we will see if Atlanta can avoid some of the garbage time issues that Arizona had against Carolina last week. So those are the waiver wire pickups that I would suggest coming out of week number 2. We got more questions in the YouTube chat. Big Mo saying, I got a few questions. Do you like Chase Brown right now post-Burrow injury? Obviously, there are 2 sides of this, right? One, they're not going to want to throw the ball as much. because they don't have Joe Burrow back there anymore. And I know you have talented receivers, but the less that you can rely on Jake Browning, the better. That being said, I do still have some concerns that just the offense in general won't be as good. Where our fantasy games really won, it's with touchdowns, right? And when an offense isn't as good, you get less of those. That's just kind of how this works. So I do have some concerns that overall, some of the touchdown opportunities aren't going to be there for Chase Brown, but I do think that the talent this team has at receiver is still going to help Brown out, because it's not just going to be where everyone can just stack the box and like, all right, yeah, try to run on us. By all means, go for it. No, and we're going to make you beat us over the top. Teams aren't going to do that with Chase and Higgins out there. So I think Brown's still going to have some pretty good volume and some pretty good looks in the run game. The touchdowns may not be there, so I do think you have to bring him down a little bit, but I still think overall he's a talented kid. Love a good Canadian boy. And I think that there is going to be some good days ahead still for Chase Brown, even if I think the dubs start to dry up a little for the Cincinnati Bengals. So yeah, keep the fantasy questions coming. We're going to be talking football for most of this one here today. Going to go, again, keep the questions coming. We're still talking fantasy football, just a bit of a different variety. Each week, I like to look at the players that no one saw coming, the unexpected great performances that end up on waiver wires and benches across fantasy football. Put them all together and see the type of team we could put to just show how absolutely cruel fantasy football can be. So here are the Week 2 Fantasy Football Dumpster Darlings. All right. Whoa. Just a well-oiled machine today, aren't we? We'll get that in post. It is week number 2 in the books in the fantasy football world, and so it is now again time to head down into the fantasy football dumpster darlings to see who were the great performances that were left on benches across the fantasy world. We start at quarterback. Russell Wilson, 5% owned for the New York Giants. I don't know what 5% of owners were doing out there, keeping him after what was an abysmal performance in week number 1, but it worked. 31.3 fantasy points. I actually have him in a 16-team keeper league where the only quarterback that I had was Tua. So decisions were made, and rightfully so, apparently. Next, our wide receivers. First, 1% owned, 20.3 fantasy points. It is Hunter Renfrow. Our wide receiver 2, 4% owned. Troy Franklin of the Denver Broncos put up 20 fantasy points this week in a wild shootout with the Broncos and the Colts. Our running backs, admittedly, running backs have been letting us down, dumpster diver wise, this year. Blake Corum, 10.4 points. He was owned in 8% of Yahoo leagues, which is 8% more than Antonio Gibson's owned in. The Patriots running back, 9.3 fantasy points. We're going back-to-back with the goose eggs. Brock Wright picks up 10 fantasy points for the nobody who owned him in fantasy. 0% owned. Gonna keep rolling with the bagels because it's Devontae Walker. Don't know who that is, but he plays for Baltimore apparently. Scored a couple tutties against the Cleveland Browns. 15.6 fantasy points. Again, 0% owned. Atlanta's defense, 2% owned, going up against Minnesota this week, and it paid off with 21 fantasy points. And then, the kicker for our dumpster darlings this week, 0% owned, 18 fantasy points for Parker Romo. Sorry. He's so unknown that I said Parker Romero and none of you blinked. It was, oh yeah, Parker Romero, totally, 100%. He is so not a fantasy football threat that he's not even rostered in the NFL anymore. They put him back on the practice squad, but he comes out with 18 fantasy points. Abolish kickers in fantasy football. All of this to say, this team, where the highest owned player was Blake Corum at 8%, put up 156.2 fantasy points. So our dumpster darlings coming up big in week number 2 of the NFL season. So again, keep the fantasy football talk coming. We're going to get more into regular football talk, I guess, here. But by all means, whatever chat you're watching in, throw them in the chat, and we'll get going with answering those probably once the segment is over. But we did have a pair of Monday Night Football games last night as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a thrilling win on Monday Night Football against the Houston Texans, and the Los Angeles Chargers had a win on Monday Night Football against the Vegas Raiders. Let's talk some NFL. Monday Night Football now behind us after a Monday night double dip. It was the Bucs and the Texans, and then the Raiders and the Chargers. This was, I mean, in terms of, like, should they or shouldn't they, I don't mind a little doubleheader on a Monday. Raiders maybe don't need to be in all of them, and that's coming from a Raider fan. But overall, kind of a fun night that we got last night. A thrilling win with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's just, again, Baker Mayfield is that dude, right? Baker Mayfield comes out and puts together another drive to help his club pick up another last-second victory. The fact that he's doing this without Wirfs and without Chris Godwin is very, very impressive. And again, it's just the legacy of Baker Mayfield continues to grow, and to see him being able to do this in what is kind of a fourth act for his career is very, very impressive, and it's really fun to watch. On the Texans side, you kind of knew this was a difficult start, but if people wanted the Texans to be taken seriously, these are two games that they should have won, and they don't. And now I think there is a little bit of cause for concern for what's happening right now with the Houston Texans and just everything around what is a very talented quarterback out there in Houston. On the Raiders-Chargers game for Vegas, they have some work to do. I think a lot of people were pretty high on them. It seemed like they got a little bit of buzz as a sleeper team going throughout the back part of the offseason in toward the start of the year. And then they beat the Patriots, who everyone kind of thought was going to be pretty good. This did show the weaknesses of this football team. And it's something I've been talking about with them for a bit. They have some trouble at defensive back. It's not really clicking for them there right now. So they have some problems. And week one, Drake May can't take advantage of it. Week two, Justin Herbert absolutely can take advantage of it. And there was one thing that was shown. I forget, one of the film guys on social media put it out there. On the 60-yard bomb that Justin Herbert had to Quentin Johnston, Max Crosby drops into coverage. What are we doing here? I understand. Oh, we're going to throw him off and drop a few guys into cover. Max Crosby should be rushing the passer 100 times out of 100 when he is on the football field. That is being too cute by a mile on that. So just a little food for thought here. Well, breaking news. Raiders should use one of the league's best pass rushers as a pass rusher. So that's the in-depth analysis that we are all here for on a Tuesday. But overall, I do think the Raiders are an improved football team. I think that's obvious, but they still have some work to do. On the other side, this Chargers team is legit, and that Khalil Mack injury didn't look awesome, but they still have a very, very solid defense and a really talented offensive group. So good days are ahead for the LA Chargers. I kind of had them as the third best team in that division. They look like the best team in that division after a couple of weeks and 2 division wins to start the season off. So things going pretty well for the Los Angeles Chargers here after week number 2. There has been a bit of a talking point coming out of this, and this isn't going to be super long, but I have to get something off my chest. We have very, very short memories when it comes to fantasy football, don't we? Have you noticed a discussion in fantasy football this year pretty similar to a discussion that we've had in years past? Remember a couple years ago, Jahmyr Gibbs, rookie for the Detroit Lions, first few weeks didn't look great. Oh, Bears made a mistake drafting him so high. Why are you drafting him so high if you're not going to use him? Blah, 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 blah. And we know where Jahmyr Gibbs is now, where I say that he's maybe a bit overrated on a fantasy football video. And then I get to people coming at me saying that it is the worst take of all time. Yeah, I think we need to calm down on the panic buttons that are being pushed around some rookie running backs with Amarian Hampton and Trayvon Henderson and I guess more specifically Ashton Genty. Very, very rare is the rookie running back that comes in and just immediately dominates right from the word go. These guys take time to get into the offense, get time to get into the game speed of the NFL, get into all of this. And it also takes time for their coaches to trust them. It is one thing for us to watch all the college tape and just think of all the ways that it can be great because we've never seen them be bad in the NFL before, so how could they be bad in the NFL? We've never seen it. All we've seen are great highlight clips for a long time, and the draft people who aren't going to shit on a guy in the best day of his life on national television, so they tell us all the good stuff about him too. So, all of that is to say, let's pump the brakes a little bit. These coaches need to trust these guys. And that will come. With some it won't, right? Like some, it's not going to go great. We have a question here from It's Okay to Laugh on YouTube. Time to cut Caleb Johnson, question mark. Yeah, that one. That is where I'm kind of drawing that's our Mendoza line right now for trusting running backs. Because it's not just that he is not looking great. It's that he's not getting an opportunity to not look great. I have very big concerns about what is happening with him and the volume there. But for Genty, he's going to be fine. For Hampton, it's going to be fine. For Henderson, it's going to be fine. These are talented running backs. It's week 2. They have played now exactly 2 more NFL games than I have. So let's gently pump the brakes a little bit on panicking around these dudes. And if any of you who are in any of my leagues are very worried about these running backs, with a smile on my face and a tear in my eye, I will acquire them. I feel like by the time there's snow on the ground, this is not going to be a problem for these guys anymore. And now I'm recognizing I'm saying that about 2 guys who are mainly warm weather based. But you know what I mean? I'm in Calgary. So by the time there's snow on the ground in Calgary, then these guys won't be a concern. I promise you that. These are some very, very talented running backs who are going to get it figured out, I think. So let's remember that 2 weeks does not a fantasy season make. And these rookie running backs are going to get their opportunities. Hampton maybe needs to help out on the blitz a little bit more. Ashton Genty as well. Both of them screwed up in protection last night, and that's something that's going to need to be addressed as the seasons go on, but they're going to be fine. A couple more here in the chat. First, it is on Twitch. Pabs the Man saying Drake London for Kamara. Man, Alvin Kamara, he's still at least getting some of the volume there in that offense in New Orleans. But Drake London, I would prefer the Drake London side of that equation. So, Pabs, I don't know if you are acquiring or trading away Drake London, but I would want the Drake London side of that. Now, if we're desperate at running back, then by all means, right? Like, go out and make that move. Like, I don't think it is a absolutely abhorrent deal or anything like that, but I do think that Drake London is just going to be part of a better offense. And we kind of talked about this with Chase Brown a little bit before, where, yes, Chase Brown probably going to get a few more opportunities because his team isn't going to trust their quarterback as much. But we want the overall health of the offense to be better so the players in that offense can thrive. That's kind of where I'm at with Drake London and Kamara. Guys on bad teams get fantasy points all the time. That is absolutely fair. But I still think Drake London being part of a better offense is going to have brighter days. I just think back to the Tampa Bay game when they're driving down at the end. It is Bijan and it is London getting all of the looks and all of the opportunities. The eyes of Michael Penix go to Drake London first, and I think having that guy in that type of an offense is going to be much better than having Alvin Kamara. JB6997 says, I need help ASAP. Would you trade Ladd, Adunze, and Montgomery for Derrick Henry and Jalen Warren? My word. I need to be more involved in fantasy football trade. This just seems fun. And I, for whatever reason, leagues I'm in, I don't trade a whole lot. I need to do this more. All right, so I have Nico, Devontae Adams, DK, and Olave, and Hampton as my other running back. I can see why we are looking at upgrading running back. Ladd, Odunze, and Montgomery for Derrick Henry and Jalen Warren. I think you are getting the absolute undisputed best player in this trade in Derrick Henry. So, yes, I absolutely would. If we already have... now, look, Nico, the situation... But Nico, Adams, DK, and Olave, we can piece it together. Week in and week out. We can make that work. And if nothing else, we can package a couple of them and make a move for a wide receiver one if we really do need to. But we can make that work. And then if we can trot out Henry and Warren every week as our starting RBs and allow Hampton that time to progress as a rookie before we absolutely have to trust him, I think that makes all the sense in the world, JB. So yes, 100%, I would make that trade. Pabs, I'm on the Drake London side, but I have Garrett Wilson on the bench. Okay, I mean, that helps a little bit. I still think maybe we could shoot a touch higher than Alvin Kamara if we're doing a Drake London for Kamara trade, or get Kamara plus backup running back X or whatever. Just get. I think we can get a little bit more on that side of it, just because I think the offense is a little bit better for Drake London. That being said, like, we got Garrett Wilson on the bench already, so we are obviously deep at wide receiver. We'll see what Garrett Wilson has throwing to him with Tyrod Taylor, but like I said, it's not a brutal trade. You're not going to get laughed at in the group chat or anything like that. Alvin Kamara is a very good football player still in the year of our football gods 2025. So making that trade, it will improve your running back room. If you still have depth there, that is absolutely fine. I would just try to get a little bit more, but maybe that's why there aren't as many trades in leagues that I'm in, because I'm annoying. We have It's Okay to Laugh. PPR, can I really start Dak, CD, and Javonte Williams in a flex? My alternatives are T-Mac or Mason. You know what? I think you can. Dallas has another kind of like oh my gosh, this game's going to be crazy matchup this week, don't they? I should know this, although no offense, don't have a lot of Cowboys. So let's see. Dallas has, you're going to tell me before I get there. Dallas has the Bears. I didn't watch that Chicago defense on Sunday and think, boy, yeah, I really need to limit what I'm throwing out there against these guys. So yes, I think you can really start Dak, CD, and Javonte Williams as flex options here. I would then suggest that maybe you could move from one of them after this game, because it's going to be another pretty big game, I would assume, points-wise, and maybe we could sell high on a couple of these dudes and spread the love around a little bit. But no, I understand that you would have concerns because, like, just there's only one football when they are playing. The Cowboys haven't got to the point where they're that powerful that they can spread that around. But those are still three very good options. And when you list them out, I think those are the three obvious best players of the five that you gave me. So, yeah, 100%. You can start those guys and just hope for an absolutely bat crap crazy game with the Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. JB6997 saying you're the man. Thank you. George C. Would you rather have Pollard or Genty? That is an interesting question. I like Pollard, and I've said for a couple of weeks, I think this Titans team is just going to be a little bit better than people think. And while we're waiting on rookie running backs to kind of find their stride, I think Cam Ward is going to get better and better as the season goes on, and those opportunities for Pollard are going to get better and better as the year goes on as well. I still probably lean Genty, though. I think there is a significant, hopefully there's a significant upside, because the right now side isn't awesome. But I do think that there is a pretty good upside to what Ashton Genty has as a running back, a little bit more involved in the passing game as well. So I still would go Genty. And again, I think he is a bit more talented than Pollard is, and I think that offense is just a little bit better than what the Titans have going on at this particular moment. Wish Bratwurst is messaging in on Twitch. Kyron, Genty, Javonte, Brees, Gibbs. Which three start? All right, well, Gibbs, 100%. Actually, oh man, the Javonte of it all really does kind of throw a bit of a wrench in there, because immediate thought is, oh, Gibbs, Brees, and Kyron. Wrap it up next. But The Javonte going up against the Bears. I don't know how you don't start him this week. Who do these teams have? We got the Rams are taking on the Eagles. All right. We got it. Gibbs, Brees, and Javonte. I like Kyron quite a bit. Sorry, Wish. Can you repeat it, please? I was in the ads. Well, I was rambling, so I actually hadn't fully got to the point yet, but I was able to establish all the data that I needed to figure it out. Kyron going up against the Eagles this week feels like a really tough matchup. Assuming there's no more going on, that defensive line for the Eagles is very good. And so Kyron is a must start most weeks, but when you have the embarrassment of riches that are rocking there at the running back spot, then I think that you can get a little bit picky. So Gibbs is an automatic every week. I like Brees a lot, and Javonte, I think you have to go with him. Again, we talked about the great matchup with the Bears that the Cowboys have this week. The Jets are playing, where is it? Tampa Bay. So again, not an easy team to run on, but I still think Brees is a pretty good option. So I like Gibbs, Brees, and Javonte. The Smitty on YouTube. 2 quarterback flex. I got, all right, Daniels. I don't know who Q is, sorry. Purdy out. Backup QBs are Ward, Rattler. My thing keeps jumping on me now. Sorry. 2 quarterback flex. I believe I got Daniels, Q. I don't know who Q is, sorry. Purdy out. I see. Those guys are up. Backups are Ward and Rattler. Backup running backs are Monty, Henderson, Connors, and Brian Robinson Jr. Bill Krosky Merritt and Mac Jones are on the waiver wire. Who would you prioritize? Man, oh man. God, because Bill Merritt is such a big opportunity. I don't think you can pass that up, right? Even though you are dealing with some pretty substantial issues at quarterback now, I still would go with Merritt just because I think he is going to be someone that is going to get you a little bit more long term. Now, I would say Smitty, if we're sitting at 0-2 right now and we're desperate need for a win, then I would go with Mac Jones. Just let's worry about next week. Let's win right now. I would go Mac Jones there. But if we're sitting at 1-1, 2-0, we can maybe roll the dice that Cam Ward once again does a loop-de-loop in the backfield and throws a wild touchdown to a kid from Medicine Hat. Then we can roll with that. But if we're in desperate need of a win, I would go with Mac Jones there. That would kind of be where I would rank my priorities right now. RGQ on YouTube. Thoughts on this team? Half point PPR. Anyone you think I should move / drop? We're just bragging now, aren't we? Lamar Jackson at quarterback. Amon-Ra, Nico, Hollywood, Rome, Keenan, Godwin are our wide receivers. At running back, it's Kyron and Chuba with Benson and Judkins, and Sam Laporta as our tight ends. Whew. Anything we should move right now? I feel like there's a receiver that we could move to maybe, I was going to say to strengthen, and then I looked and I didn't know where we were strengthening because we're very good at running back. We have one of the better tight ends you could want. We're not getting better than Lamar Jackson at wide receiver. So unless you want to piece together an Amon-Ra Hollywood type of a thing and try to move up for Jefferson or Chase, then maybe, but I don't know why you would want to move off of Amon-Ra. So I don't think you need to be making any moves at this point. If we wanted a much more solid number 2 wide receiver, or number 2 running back, then maybe there's a way that we could go about that with one of the guys there. I think Rome Odunze is going to be just an absolute beast this season. So if we could do a Nico move for a running back kind of higher up in that area, then I feel really good about that. But this is a high level team right now, so you definitely don't have to mess with it. That is for sure. Wish Bratwurst, thanks. Herbert over Knicks, fine. In general, yes. I would say that. Let me just see quickly what are the matchups this week. It is the Broncos against the Chargers. Look at that. Herbert. Yeah, 100%. I think Herbert has... Boy, does Herbert have the better weapons to throw to? Herbert has the better weapons to throw to. And he's a better quarterback. So, yes, I would go with Herbert there over Knicks. RGQ, back to the question. I have Godwin in IR, so I might have to drop Benson to make moves. Oh, I see what's happening. So, Godwin's in IR, but we have to bring him back in. I would probably drop Judkins, honestly. Benson is getting looks in that running game now. And if anything happens to Connors, which kind of always does, then all of a sudden you have a guy who could be a legitimate number one in what is a pretty good offense out in Arizona. So Judkins would probably be the one that I would be dropping if we need to make any kind of moves there. So that is probably the direction I would go, rather than dropping Benson right now. Smitty, those are all my running backs, not just the backups. My bad. No, it's fine. Yeah, dude, look, we got a good team there. We're looking very good. So you don't have to apologize for anything. RGQ, thinking of trying to get rid of Pacheco and Keenan Allen for someone. Any thoughts on the kind of caliber player that I can get? Mac Jones, trying to prep for the bye week 4. 4 bench spots is rough in buys. 4 bench spots is very rough. Yes, I'm in a league that has too many bench spots and there's no one available waiver wire wise, and so you get a little bit panicky pretty quickly. But here, let me just pull up really quick some fantasy rankings so I can just kind of look for this question on Pacheco and Keenan Allen, and let's just see where are some guys that we could maybe fall into with this. Let's click that button and let's go for a bit of a ride. We're looking at Pacheco and Keenan Allen. Hey, if we're looking at, trying to get rid of them, what kind of caliber player could I be looking at right now? I would say, honestly, one that I might be trying to look at, you could get into, Keenan Allen, I get he is kind of a good performer in what is a good offense. I do have some concerns about, again, longevity and things of that nature. So I think we could take a bit of a swing. God, I was going to say Bowers. That might be a bit too much, a bit too rich, because people are really liking him. He's just kind of fallen down rankings quite a bit here. One kid who I wouldn't mind taking a look at, depending on... We have a roster here from you, right? Yeah, you already have Sam Laporte. So if we are looking at what else we could get to try to package a couple of those pieces up, I think maybe a DeAndre Swift type to try to bolster that. So maybe that works, right? You have a 3-headed trio there of Kyron, Chuba, Benson potentially as well, and Swift. That works. So DeAndre Swift would kind of be the neighborhood of guy that I would be looking at to make that type of a move. Because I know people are down on the Bears offense. I haven't thought it's been that bad. I think people are expecting it to be revolutionary, and it hasn't been. And Caleb has missed some throws that he shouldn't. But I think overall the offense has been actually kind of okay. I know that's weird to say for a team that hasn't performed great, but I do think that there is still some potential there. And so, to your point, Pacheco usage is gross and Keenan Allen is made from glass some seasons, all seasons, to be fair. That is why I would want to get rid of them. So yes, that is totally fair on your point. Wish Bratwurst, again, asking, thoughts on my team. Quarterback Herbert, wide receiver is Jefferson and Myers. Gibbs and Hall are the running backs. Bowers is the tight end, and flex is Javonte. On the bench, we have Genty, Nix, Kyron, Wilson, Higgins, and Judy. So that's a really good week, or a really good team. Anything to go for, or butt in for the week. I think the team's really, really solid, obviously. That's a very good group. I think the one kind of weak spot we would like to address maybe would be that second wide receiver spot. That would kind of be an area I wouldn't mind trying to improve upon slightly. I just think Myers, I've never been the biggest fan. So that would maybe be a direction I would try to pivot away from. But overall, this is a really, really good fantasy team. But if you wanted to, I guess you have Wilson that you could kind of throw in there into that spot also, and Higgins. No, we're set. We're good. This is a very solid team. So I don't know if there's anything I'd be really messing with right now. If anything, there are a lot of, like, you have, like, obviously the high level guys with Jefferson and with Gibbs, Bowers as well too. But we have a lot of high level guys. We are rich in second level guys too. And if you wanted to piece a couple of those together and try to go out and get another big type of a guy, that would be something I would look at. But I think you are very, 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 very set right now. RGQ again, people forget Swift is a strong runner and agile too. Yes, I would agree. I absolutely. He is, like, people hear Swift and it's like, oh, he's quick, and he is, but there's a good finish to his runs. And so that's why he's effective in the red zone too. And also, I know people were expecting with Ben Johnson at the beginning of the year to just say, hey, this is going to be like Gibbs and Montgomery. It's going to be, it wasn't Thunder and Lightning. Well, it was Knuckles and what I don't know the Sonic references, sorry, but Knuckles and whatever the other guy beside Knuckles is. And it's going to be that type of a Thunder and Lightning type of a duo, and everything's going to be mushed up. Instead, what we are seeing is Ben Johnson says, okay, so we have this one running back who on this side, very talented, quick, but also finishes his runs really strong and is a really good pass catching option. And then on this side, we have a very unproven rookie running back, and then another running back that everyone just kind of assumed was good because he stood out amongst four guys in a bad system with a bad offensive line last year. Why do I have to go away from this guy? Again, why don't I just use this guy all the time? And so that's kind of what he is doing. I appreciate that from a coach, and so I do think DeAndre Swift is going to get a little bit more volume in that offense as it goes along. All right, Wish Bratwurst asking, so who to put in ahead of Myers? Man, the Higgins thing, I can see being scared away by that for sure because of the quarterback situation there in Cincinnati. I think Garrett Wilson has an opportunity still with Tyrod Taylor throwing balls to him that he's going to be able to at least, I mean, again, I hate this kind of analysis. Who else are they throwing to with the Jets? I think Garrett Wilson, I still stand strong that that's a very talented wide receiver. And with Tyrod Taylor getting him the football, I think that is going to be something that can really help him kind of stand out this year and over the next couple of weeks here anyway. And so I would probably put him in over Myers. That would be what I would be looking at right now with that lineup. So yeah, loving this. Keep the fantasy football questions coming in. This has been a whole lot of fun. I have another segment that I kind of wanted to get to today. So gonna roll with that. Keep the questions coming, and I will, once I am done with kind of each chunk of the next segment, we will get to the questions as they roll along. But last week, I did an overreaction check-in. Like, where am I feeling good about my predictions going into the season? Where didn't I feel good? What all are we doing here? So I feel like, you know what? Instead of just having that be a week 1 gimmick, let's have it be a week 2 gimmick here as well. Smitty, I would go Mac over Browning for the record. Yes. Let's have that be a week 2 gimmick as well. So what predictions from 3 weeks ago in the preseason am I standing tall with? Which ones am I taking the victory lap on? And which ones have I already accepted that I kind of missed on? Here is the overreaction check-in from Couch Potato Diary. All right, so we did this last week, going to do it again this week. We are breaking them up into 4 different categories, just kind of thoughts from the first couple of weeks of the league. It is, I was dead wrong, the victory lap, die on this hill, and the jury's still out. So we will group all the predictions into these 4 here, and in the chat, let me know if you agree. We'll start. I'm nothing if not humble. We will start with what I was dead wrong on. Up first, the Chargers don't have enough talent to compete in the AFC West. I was wrong. I was dead wrong on that. This is a talented team on offense, and one that I still have questions about the talent on the defensive side, but oh my goodness, they are more than making up for it with great coaching and what they are able to do with the football when they have it on offense. Justin Herbert is a star. Ladd McConkey, ditto. Hampton has some work to do. Allen, though, is really solid. Like, this is just a very good team. So that's on me. I was dead wrong on the Chargers not having enough talent. Up next, Panthers can take a step forward. I was wrong. It looks like a bad football team. They cannot block for their quarterback who cannot throw, and they cannot defend other teams' quarterbacks who can throw. All of that to say that team's a problem, and they are not getting any better right now. So I was dead wrong on the Panthers taking a step forward. This one was in I was dead wrong a week ago, and it looks less wrong this week, but I'm still going to put it in the wrong category. Giants offense can take a step forward with Russell Wilson. This week, I will say, I don't think they can sustain what they did last week against Dallas because of some of the issues they have on the offensive line. Yes, airing it out to Wan'Dale Robinson is awesome. And yes, airing it out to Malik Neighbors is great. But to consistently have an improved offense, I just don't think they got the guys for it right now. So I was dead wrong on the Giants stepping up and winning and looking better on offense. Next one I was dead wrong on. The Arizona Cardinals to win the NFC West. Now I could, and you know what? A lot of other people would have that prediction. Look at a team that's sitting at 2-0 and say, you know what? I was right. I knew it. This team is grinding through, winning tough games. That's what they're doing, making the plays when it matters the most. But I watch these games. I have seen how that looks. Does that look like the best team in the NFC West to you? Because it does not to me. Does that look like the second best team in the NFC West to you? Because it doesn't to me. Does it look like the third best team in the NFC West right now? Because it doesn't to me. It took way too much to beat the Saints and the Panthers for me to be on a high Cardinal today, thinking that team's going to win the NFC West and I'm going to cash that, what was it, plus 850 or whatever it was to win the NFC West. No, dead wrong on that one. Up next, the Denver Broncos stepping up. And I'm so mad at this one because I was right. I didn't see how my right would affect the rest of the right. Bo Nix was great last season. I begrudgingly will admit that. Although if you were a consumer of the content last year, you will know that was something that was a hill I was sticking on for a while. But Bo Nix was great last year. He was good. The thing is, Bo Nix is a finished product, right? Like he is, we are not going to get, I don't think, another, like, playing the Pokemon game. Bo Nix has evolved. We're not getting that with him. He is what he is. And then you look at the rest of the offense, and I guess I just got kind of clouded when you see, oh yeah, Marvin Mims, he can take the top off of the defense. And Cortland Sutton, he's not really a number one, but he's solid. It's like, no. Stop at that. He's not really a number one part. And just look, they don't have a number one pass catching option to kind of bail Nix out. And now he has added this wrinkle where he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes and needs to be running all over the place and making all these off balance throws and all these off timing throws. That's not his game. His game in that offense is just making sure the trains arrive on time. Just next one. Great. Love that. That's not what he's doing this year, and it is not working. And that's why I was dead wrong on the Broncos. Up next, the Rams taking a step back. I was worried about the quarterback last year, or going into this year with the back injuries and everything like that. So I thought the Rams would take a step back, and they still might. Banking on a 37-year-old's injury situation for 17 weeks feels risky, but I cannot argue that this is a good team, and defensively they are really, really strong. So I was dead wrong on the Rams taking a step back. And the last one is Chicago Bears related. I thought the defense would be really strong, and the offensive line improvements that they made would be enough that this team could take a step forward. 0 for 2. The defense, I still think this defense is a touch underrated. A week where they gave up 1 billion yards to the Lions feels like a tough one to really wave that flag on. So I'll just call that a miss. And then the offensive line is still bad. Like that is still a problem for the Bears, is the horrendousness on the offensive line. So I was dead wrong on a few things from the predictions. We'll get to victory laps and everything else here in a second. We have a couple more suggestions here on right and wrong in the chat. RGQ, Houston not making the playoffs. That offensive line is atrocious. That is my take from this weekend. Man, I kind of wish I had that one. And maybe it is something for us to remember for the next time. Like I know Bill Simmons does like his manifestos for gambling on basketball playoffs, I think it is. But maybe I need to do this. When the best reason to pick a team to win the division is everyone else is bad, and it has nothing to do with how good you think they are, run from that, because that's not a good reason to pick a team to win the division. That's exactly the opposite of a good reason to pick a team to win the division. And now you see, like, that offensive line is a major problem, and that's not something you can address mid-season, right? Like, you can try, but if you wanted to go out and make a trade for whoever, football is so intricate with all the different protections and everything that you have that it takes a bit of time for that thing to gel. And so, like, it's not a quarterback having to get into a new rhythm with everything like that, but that's a tough thing to just, like, plunk in and, oh, now we fixed the offensive line issue mid-season. That's just not how it works. So I'm with you on that one. Wish Bratwurst, Chiefs are not making the playoffs this season. RGQ said, I would be happy with that one. That is fair. Yeah, I think a lot of people would enjoy a break from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will be fine. They're coming up in a little bit when I talk about different parts of this, but okay. Wish, I just disagree with you on that entirely. I think you can quibble with how they go about using their offense and the weapons that they have brought in for him. I feel like Mahomes has looked like Superman in the last couple of weeks to get anything close in these games and getting like competitive games with the defending Super Bowl champions and a team that looks like a legitimate contender in the AFC. The fact that he is doing that with what's-his-nuts Thornton running down the middle of the field and Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, guys you're picking up in free agency in Madden 5 years ago, I don't think any of the Chiefs' problems are on Patrick Mahomes. I think that I think he's playing at an extremely high level. He just has nothing for help around him, and the offensive line isn't helping him out either. So that is one that we're just going to agree to disagree on at this point. RGQ, as a Pats fan, having a bad O-line at the start of the season is season over. Yes, that is fair. It's just, I'm trying to think, and I don't have a Rolodex of offensive line improvements in my head, but I'm trying to think of the last time a team went from having a bad offensive line to just, fixed it in the middle of the season. Like, it doesn't happen. So that would be a grave concern of mine. RGQ, Patriots defense, top 3 defense, y'all were wrong. Are you saying we were wrong about thinking they had a top 3 defense? Because then I might agree with you. Yeah, I do think that, like, they are still a good defense, and they are missing some pieces right now. By the time the season is done, we will be looking at that Patriots defense as one that is good. But losing to the Raiders and then giving up 1 billion points to the Dolphins, who got shut down by the Colts, a tough leg to stand on right now for a Patriots defense conversation. But no, that's fair. I think they are a talented group nonetheless. Connor D asking, did you and Logo have a bet on yesterday's game? Logo, for those watching outside of Calgary, Logo is Logan Gordon. He's a host on Calgary Sports Radio. He and I do shows together quite a bit. He is a friend of mine. So he is a Charger fan. I am a Raider fan. Connor asking if we had a bet on the game. That would be very mean of Logan to... I tend to not make Raider bets. I'll put it that way. I not often do I have confidence in the Raiders. And so at that point, I am just going to Logan and being like, hey, what do you want from me? Or what punishment would you like me to endure? That's basically what a Raider bet would be at this point. RGQ, well, Pats were dead last or close to it last season. Check the stats. We have the most sacks in the league so far and ranked 4th in yards, I believe. Look, like I said, I think they are going to be a good defense. I think they have pieces on that defense right now. sacking Tua is a crime at this point. It happens so often. So I don't know if I would be locking on to that necessarily as, hey, watch out for this team. But there are very good pieces on that defense. I'm not going to argue and say that the Pats aren't a good defense. It hasn't shown up as much as people maybe thought it would this season, where they thought maybe some big improvements were coming because of the coach. I still think it's going to be a good defense, and we're going to have that conversation at the end of the year. It's just some more pieces need to fill out as this goes along. We have a bunch more fantasy football questions in the chat, so I'm going to hit the thingy, and we'll get into some fantasy football discussion. I mainly just like the drop on that. All right, let's go. Try to get to as many of the. Oh, I'm gonna say as many of these as I can. I can get to all of them. This is my house. I'm not going anywhere. But as I just want to make sure I'm not missing any. Wish Bratwurst asked a little bit ago, do you know if McCarthy is going to be healthy for the Bengals game, or think? I know he is not. The ankle injury that he is having is one that is going to keep him out this week. So it will be Carson Wentz for the Vikings. So yes, he is. McCarthy is probably going to miss a couple of weeks, I would assume. Also, I got an alert here. Vikings place Aaron Jones on injured reserve due to his hamstring injury. He is now out 4 weeks. So more injury problems for the Minnesota Vikings. Deeds is asking Pollard against Indy or Etienne against the Houston Texans. Interesting question. I think I would probably go ETN again. Oh, man, the Texans defense is so good. Oh, that run. Yeah. Okay. Although they had some issues with Bucky. So let's go ETN. Let's go ETN against Houston and just wins. But, I mean, this might be the difference between, like, 4 points and 3 points. Those are... The Colts defense has been pretty solid. I guess they weren't in half of their games, so maybe I'm overreacting to one game against a bad football team. But ETN against the Houston Texans is where I would be. Tyler on YouTube is saying, I have this running back carousel of ETN, Javonte, Swift, and Monty. Also have Chubb and Mixon. Would you package one of them plus Ridley or Waddle for a better running back? Who would you target PPR? Yeah, like we kind of talked about it before in there, Tyler. I don't know if you were here for it, but Swift is a running back right now I am actually targeting. I am trying to get more DeAndre Swift. So, like, I like what you have with actually a few of those options. Actually, all the four that you mentioned there off the top. If I could package ETN and Monty together, and then I am still looking at having a very solid base with Javonte and Swift, and then name your Texans running back, Chubb or Mixon, I would feel pretty good about that. And then if you could go with Montgomery and trade him with an ETN and try to move up a little bit and get like an Alvin Kamara type, or even a Jaylen Warren type if we don't want to shoot for the stars that high. Like Jaylen Warren, I still think is going to get quite a bit of the run in Pittsburgh and get more and more looks as the season goes on and get more and more trust with Aaron Rodgers, whatever that means at this point. But I think like a Warren or like a Chuba Hubbard, someone along those lines, and try to take a bit of a swing there. And then you have a pretty solid room still with Javonte and Swift, but raising that floor up a little bit more, I would say. Adam Penzone saying, hey man, hope you're having a good day. Wondering if you'd give me thoughts on a trade I made. Of course. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Okay. It's okay to laugh saying top 5 running back cuffs to stash. I think number 1 with a bullet is Brian Robinson Jr. Like, we know that there's an injury history already with Christian McCaffrey, and we know that offense doesn't just need Christian McCaffrey to get fantasy goodness out of the running back position. So Brian Robinson Jr. is number 1 with a bullet. I still think there's something there with Tank Bigsby, and I think in that offense, behind that offensive line, him backing up Saquon Barkley, I think that really does give you a lot of promise. So he would be my number 2. Number 3, just off the top of my head, we already had him in the waiver wire category here this week. It's Tyler Algier. He is a part of the offense now and still available in 70% of Yahoo leagues. So he would be one that it's not just a handcuff. This is a guy, he's had 26 touches in the first 2 weeks of the season. So he would be someone who I would absolutely put on this list. That is 3. Who would be the last 2? Ray Davis out with the Buffalo Bills. That offense is very good. And I think James Cook, what he is able to do just on his own is a little underrated, but I still think Ray Davis is a really solid running back and one that can get you some pretty good production if there is any kind of a fall for James Cook. And then my last one, just again off the top of my head, would be Justice Hill. He's already the pass-catching running back. I guess you have Keaton Mitchell there. That might not be the best one. He's the pass-catching back, and he probably stays that. And so maybe it's Keaton Mitchell. Yeah, let's go with that. Pick a Baltimore running back. Whoever's the running back beside Lamar Jackson, if Derrick Henry gets hurt, just grab them. So Keaton Mitchell would probably be the guy there. But if you're looking for, Justice Hill would see an uptick in his usage, and he is already still bordering on useful anyway. So those would be my 5. Again, just off the top of my head. Would you trade Debo and Tootin for Genty in half PPR? I just said let's not panic on Genty. And so to not accept this feels like it would be panicking on Genty. If I would try to trade that. Yes. I think that is still selling low that is still buying low on Ashton Genty and maybe selling a little bit high on Debo as McLaurin kind of gets back into football shape and all of that. He's probably going to be included more in the offense. The one thing, Debo is playing the Raiders this week, so if you make that trade, it might not look good right away because they could do some things to that Raiders secondary. But I do think, Debo, he is awesome. I like him a lot. I would take him on my team 100 days out of 100. But he could also kind of break down a little bit. So I would have some concerns about going with him long term. And if you can get kind of the upside of Ashton Genty still figuring things out in a Chip Kelly offense with the Raiders, that's a pretty good kind of sell high, buy low sort of a situation. Penzone saying, I traded Travis Etienne and Garrett Wilson, and I got Amon-Ra in return. Bijan and Bucky at running back, Collins and Flowers, Sutton and Ibuka at wide receivers. Thoughts on how this went? That is a fleecing. Etienne and Wilson for Amon-Ra. That's fantastic. I have worries about the Jags offense when they don't face the Panthers or the Bengals. So getting out of ETN there, not the worst move. And Garrett Wilson, again, I think he's going to be good. But Amon-Ra, you saw the potential of Amon-Ra. And while maybe he's not going to put up 35 fantasy points at any other point this season, he's still a really good pass-catching option in what should still be a good offense with the Lions. So I think you did well there, Adam Penzone, for sure. JJ McCarthy is going to carry the Vikings. We're going back to takes that we had. JJ McCarthy on the Vikings is coming up in a little bit on the takes kind of grading, I guess, the overreaction check-in. I still think there's something there with that kid. Michael on YouTube, what's up, man? Should I offer QJ and J.K. Dobbins and get A.J. Brown in return? Yes, I would say so. Dobbins, last year, he looked like he had kind of lost a step and was figuring out how to use that. This year, it looks like he has lost a step again and hasn't figured that out. He's still fine. He's still going to get his looks. And then Quentin Johnston, who I'm assuming we're talking about, gets the big touchdown pass against the Raiders. Drops are always going to be an issue. And like I said before, we were talking about A.J. Brown. That offense is going to have to throw at some point, right? They have been able to control these first couple of games. There's going to be a time where they're going to have to be throwing. And I think A.J. Brown, we're getting a few of these now. I think A.J. Brown is someone that you can really buy low on. He's too talented to stay this out of the loop on that offense all season long. So A.J. Brown, 100%. Yeah, I would be going on that. Same thing here. RGQ, thoughts on Pacheco and Keenan for A.J. Brown. A.J. owner has been frustrated with him and he doesn't really know football. Think I should snag him. Should I try? Yeah, do that. Do that. Yes, that thing. That, what you are suggesting, do that. Pacheco and Keenan for A.J. Brown is a steal. Even if A.J. Brown doesn't reach the levels that his talent says he should, that's still a win, I believe, for you. So 100%, I would do that. It's okay to laugh with the Jones move. Mason a must start. Where would you rank him rest of season? Mason's a must start, 100% now. He is a really solid running back anyway. Rest of the season, like he feels like he is a flex play even with Aaron Jones in the lineup, right? Like they were making a bit of an effort to get him the ball. And I think having 4 weeks now of getting, I guess I was going to say 4 weeks of getting comfortable with McCarthy. That might not be happening, but getting him 4 weeks of being involved in the offense and really rolling here would be a very strong way to kind of solidify him as a back there for Minnesota. Who knows about Aaron Jones in the future? It's not like he's not going to get hurt again. So I think Mason, even if Jones came back and you could like video game turn injuries off, Mason still, I think, is a flex option going forward. Get rid of Monty without Ben Johnson. That's for one earlier. I do think I think that's fair. Like I think that offense isn't going to be as good as it looked against the Bears the other day. So I can understand why there would be some trepidation on David Montgomery. That is for sure. Drop Pacheco or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Pacheco, I could see it. I would much rather try to trade Pacheco than drop him right now. And I get the trade value is going to be low, but I think you can still put him as a sweetener in a deal with a couple other things to try to get that over the top right now instead of just dropping him outright. Because I still think there's going to be better days ahead for Kansas City, and I think if you dropped him, you would regret it. And Krosky-Merritt, I think there's going to be more good days to come with that as well. Adam Penzone again, hell yeah, thanks. And yeah, it's a 10-man keeper league, and the other guy needed a running back, and yeah, Amon-Ra is a super safe floor. 100%, yeah. 100%, that is a super safe floor. Michael, should there be concern for Marvin Harrison Jr., not because of him, but because of Kyler Murray? Man, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. looks really solid, and with Kyler, the stuff that Kyler does that's dumb is more in terms of hurting the overall football team and not really limiting fantasy weapons. I don't believe. I get like some people were kind of blaming him for what happened last year with Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think for this year, that's a guy that has obviously put a lot of work in to get himself NFL ready for the season. So I still think there's a very good option there, and I still think there's a lot of fantasy goodness with the Cardinals, even though I was very frustrated with them as they won a couple of games this season. Brandon Boston asking, do I drop Booty or Charbonnet for Scadaboo? Don't be dropping Charbonnet. Charbonnet is going to take over as the number one running back in Seattle, and honestly kind of already has. It's just that Walker did more with his chunk last week than Charbonnet did. But Charbonnet, if I recall, has been out there for more snaps, I think each of the last 2 weeks, certainly in week 1 anyway. So keep Charbonnet. But Booty for Scadaboo, 100%. I would do that. It feels like Scadaboo is quickly taking over the running back room in New York. So yeah, that is one that I would feel very comfortable with right now. Also, shout out to Deeds for gifting subscriptions in the Twitch chat. Very much appreciate that, Deeds. That is awesome. Thank you so much for gifting some subs there to Tall John and to Wish Bratwurst. That is that's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that there on Twitch. Deeds, absolutely the man, 100%. All right, RGQ. What's Scadaboo's usage due to game was Scadaboo's usage due to game scenario, or did he actually win RB1? Only game I didn't watch. I think that is fair. I think even if it is just kind of score effects, game scenario, game script, that's the word I'm looking for. Score effects, I think is the hockey one. But I think even if it was kind of the game script, it's not like that's going to be a unique game script for the Giants, right? Like they're going to be in some weird football games this season. So I think Scadaboo is going to have a role in that offense. And like we talked about with the other rookie running backs, he's going to get more comfortable there. And no one else in New York has been undeniable to the point that he can't do anything there, right? So I still think that even if it was game script, I think Scadaboo is going to have a role in that offense, and a pretty big one going forward. Penzone, not going to lie, also kind of scared with BTJ. I'm enough of a fan of him to trust it. I can see where there would be some concern. I still, like, he's too talented for it to be that big of a problem. Like, I think that we saw him, even with the offense being absolute dog doo-doo last year, he was still able to go out and have a very good season. So I don't think that necessarily is going to be a problem again this year. I think he's going to be fine, so that's fair. And then Michael, I think Kenneth is the better running back overall compared to Charbonnet. That, I would probably agree with you on that. Like, if I were starting an NFL franchise tomorrow and I had to pick a Seattle running back to start it with, I would probably do Walker as well. Just kind of the bigger, stronger runner, and still can kind of reach those speeds that Charbonnet does as well. It feels like Charbonnet is earning a little bit more of the trust in Seattle, but I think that's probably going to be I think it's going to be much more of a split than people were expecting coming into the season. RGQ, with having Amon-Ra and Laporta, you think I should prioritize moving from tight end, even if it's horizontal? No, I don't think so. Like, those two guys have put up numbers with each other there before, right? So I like, what are you, unless you could get McBride or Bowers, you're taking a step back just because he's in a good offense. I wouldn't necessarily be worrying about that. If you wanted to do, like just putting whatever out there, but if you wanted to do Laporta for Kraft and name a guy, then fine. You know, like, if you wanted Kraft and just a solid wide receiver or RB2, so you're kind of spreading it out a little bit, then yeah, you can do that. But I think right now, like, you just accumulate talented players and good players on good teams and see where it falls. I think you're fine there. Broly _619, still learning, and I have two defenses. I should probably drop one, correct? Ravens and Texans. Yes, I would suggest that. If you're in a very deep league, like 14, 16 teams, something along those lines, it's not the worst to carry two defenses, but you are kind of limiting yourself. Because, like, I do, if you missed it earlier, Broly, I do waiver wire here each week where we can kind of stream a defense where you just pick up a new one each week. And this week, the streaming defenses that we went with, Seattle's defense, that I think is legitimately good. Seattle's defense, 26% owned against New Orleans, and Atlanta's defense, that I think is also kind of legit. They are 2% owned against Carolina. So there's always going to be some lower owned defenses out there if you need to make a pickup for a bye week fill-in or something along those lines. So in the early part of the season, especially when there's no buys, I don't think you need to hold on to do defenses. You can drop one of those and go out and get a lottery ticket type of a player that might be a bit boom or bust, or if there's just a solid player that has found his way onto the waiver wire for whatever reason, go out and make that move. But I think that dropping that defense is the correct move to make there. Absolutely, with that one. So, all right. Well, this has been significantly different than I was expecting it to be today. I still have a bunch of NFL stuff to run through. That might be now a tomorrow thing that we do, or just something kind of pre-produced, because I do have to run here because my dog needs to be let outside. But this has been a blast. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. If you missed any of this, by the way, I do have a podcast that is available. It's all this. We stream the podcast live and then put it out there in podcast form on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. It's called Couch Potato Diary. Not just fantasy football talk, although today, yes, but all the sports. We've got baseball, basketball, hockey, football, obviously Canadian football as well, and pro wrestling and mixed martial arts in there as well. So I'd love for you guys to check it out. But this has been a lot of fun chatting with you guys here. If you are watching on, I guess wherever you're watching, hit either subscribe or follow or anything like that. This has been a blast. So yeah, stream live multiple times every week. We will absolutely be doing this again. Normally, my Wednesdays are video game stream days, but we covered a lot of fantasy football and a lot of not anything else. So we'll probably just do another podcast stream tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So yeah, RGQ, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the subscription on YouTube. Thank you so much. Broly619, take care, brother. Take care to you as well. Thank you so much. Adam Penzone, the man as always, thank you so much. And Deeds, thank you again, Deeds, so much. Gifting a couple subs in the Twitch chat. And RGQ, when does Pacheco become droppable? Bold proclamation, he doesn't. That offense is going to get it figured out at some point, and Pacheco is still going to be a part of that. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all later.